Okay, I appreciate you guys giving me some grace, giving me some of your patience as I was trying to get everything shared over and make sure that everyone has the link. So, okay, hey mom is here. You guys, if you don't know Michelle Dickinson, that'd be my mom. So, hi mom. Okay, so I want to, let's jump in. Let's jump in because I'm running late, but we're gonna go. So I want to pause and we'll start here. Let's start at the top, yeah? Hi, guys. If you're new here, if you're new to me, if you're new to Hennapreneur, hi, my name is Chelsea Stevenson. I am a professional henna artist and business strategist based here in Baltimore, Maryland. I have been working with henna since 2011, and I obviously through Hennapreneur, I'm the founder of Hennapreneur, and through Hennapreneur, I help henna artists to start their business, grow their business, scale their business, both with technical skills and business strategies. So today, what brings us to this very special live is the not so fortunate outbreak of the coronavirus. And it is definitely, it's begun to impact our community. It's begun to impact our industry. And as an educator and as a mentor to henna artists all around the world, I've received messages asking for my thoughts about it and asking for advice about what to do with the COVID-19 crisis. And I'm going to be really honest, I have been super hesitant to speak about this for a number of reasons. First, the landscape of this conversation has been changing so rapidly across the country, across social media, and so forth. And so I did not want to make any statement that might be premature. Second is that there has been and there continues to be still so much up in the air in our industry as it relates to us specifically as hennapreneurs. And so I wanted to be very cautious not to say anything too prematurely. And then the third piece is that, and this is just purely me, I am very mindful of the trust that I've been able to gain, that I've earned over the years serving henna artists, serving our community. And so I'm very mindful of what I say because I believe that with platform comes responsibility. And I never want to say a thing that might influence someone to take an action or not take an action, and in a way that's that doesn't feel completely aligned with me and with what I believe, right? So I'm just very cautious of that. So that's kind of why I've been quiet about this, but I'll tell you that the requests have been such that I realize that it's time for me to say something, and so I want to have this chat with you guys today. This is not only a town hall where you're welcome to leave your comments and your opinions and your thoughts and your questions in the comments as we go along. I will have a Q&A at the end of this session, but I am, through the length of this session, I'm going to be really teaching. So this is not just, hey, this is what coronavirus is and how it affects our industry, but I'm also going to be talking to you guys about how you can start to weather the storm, how we can collectively weather the storm with our businesses and move a little bit more strategically, move a little bit with a little bit more confidence as we're kind of experiencing what this might look like for us as we go into the peak 2020 henna season. So I'll tell you, I say all of that and I start with all that to let you know that up until now, again, I've been very quiet about it, but this has been my experience, and I want to kind of lay this framework for you as well, because I think that it's important for you to understand. I'm not just talking from the from this oh, this hasn't affected my business yet perspective. That's not the case. On the contrary, my experience has already allowed me to be quite well informed about the impacts of coronavirus and COVID-19 on a henna business. And I'll tell you, in my county, there have already been confirmed cases of COVID-19, to include a case that was very, very local to me, as well as in neighboring counties. And because of that, my state, as of last week, was placed under a state of emergency. Yesterday, I sat in disbelief and also a lot of anxiety, honestly. I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it to come so quickly. And it's kind of like, when you receive news and you know it's coming, but when it hits you, it kind of hits you hard. And I had to sit back as I watched the governor of my state go on on television and enact an executive order that included the statewide ban of events and gatherings of 250 people or more, which you guys know that obviously that impacts festival henna income, that impacts, that certainly may represent losses in the terms of booth fees that I've already paid out. That definitely reduces my marketing exposure that I, for the season that I would have counted on for those festivals. And I'll tell you, in my own business, just assuming that the state of emergency lasts for 30 days, and I feel like that's a very, very conservative assumption, but assuming that it were to be that case, I know that my business already has been impacted by somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000 worth of revenue just with that order that he made. So I say that because I want you guys to understand that I'm not coming just to talk about coronavirus because it's like a trend. I want to have a conversation with you because it has real tangible impacts on our businesses, but it doesn't stop our businesses. And I'll tell you, even for me, it doesn't stop my business. In fact, yesterday during the governor's address, I was receiving pings on my phone from bookings that were coming in, individual private appointment bookings. Today, I've continued to see new bookings as per normal. And I just want to remind you, first and foremost, that people still have the desire to live enjoyable lives. They're still looking for ways that they can de-stress in a stressful time. And I fully intend to serve them. And I intend today to give you guys advice on how you can do that too, without risking your businesses. So that's where we are. So I want to start with this promise to you, right? I promise to be as level-headed throughout the course of this conversation as possible. Also, I promise you, of course, to neither be alarmist nor dismissive. I think that it's important for us to kind of keep both, keep our eyes on what's going on and be very aware of the weight of the situation, but we also need to have our feet on the ground, right? And then I promise to only share with you today the things that I'm personally implementing, or if it's perhaps like a situation or a case that no longer applies to me or that doesn't apply to me, I promise that I will only share those things with you that I would implement if I were in your shoes, specifically as we come to that Q&A at the end, okay? So that's where we got. That's where we are, all right? And so I already see comments that markets were canceled and things like this. This is, yeah. In the state of Maryland, we also experienced that. We have the ban of crowds of 250 or more, and schools are closed officially throughout the state from Monday through the end of the month. So I totally relate. Our libraries are still open, however. So let's start at, and I want to pause here really quickly and say, if you are someone who's catching the replay or if you're someone who wants to come back and watch this later, I'm going to be placing a link in the comments where you can download a workbook to follow along with this, because I'm going to be diving into a bunch of different points, and many of them are going to be thought points for you, things to kind of get your wheels going so that you can start to make decisions in your business. So there will be a workbook that will be made available to you. I'll have the link there after I close out the live feed. So as we move through, that's something to keep in mind. If you're live with me now, you're very welcome to grab a notebook, just so that you can start to jot things down as we go, because I'm going to try to move pretty quickly, okay? So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is our responsibility to the public as service providers, okay? So as professional service providers working in close proximity with the public, we have at all times the responsibility to operate our businesses with public health in mind. And so this is something that I feel like many times is kind of swept under the rug, or like it comes up in conversation within the Henna community, but it comes up in conversation like this is something that's maybe frivolous, or like only the professionals have to do it. If I'm just a hobbyist, it doesn't really matter. Or maybe I'm a hobbyist, but it's something that I've never even thought to consider. And I want to start here because I think that we need to set a tone that as professionals, we have to be aware at all times, but of course, especially during instances like these where we have a public health crisis, that is affecting us and our communities, we have to be aware of public health. So I first want to start out by outlining that there are specific public health recommendations that need to be on our minds at all times as we're working with the public to quote unquote flatten the curve, right? Now, I'm going to say this because I understand that we all come from different walks of life. We may have very differing opinions. Whether or not you believe that COVID-19 is a serious concern or simply that it's like a media sensation doesn't matter. Your personal opinion regarding coronavirus and COVID-19 is not like it doesn't matter, okay? In the context of our industry and how we must behave as professionals, you have to be aware of and implement the recommendations regarding public health when they're made. And so we already have heard things from, you know, the World Health Organization, from the CDC with specific recommendations. We are being paid for a service. Our job as service providers is to make sure that we are providing that service, but also because we're having that transaction, because there is that exchange, we need to be aware of what those recommendations are. So I want to start here and just say, listen, there are things that you need to know and that you need to be implementing in your business. There are things that you are responsible for as a professional service provider. So included in these, and I grabbed some information from the World Health Organization and from the CDC. That's what I want to share with you guys immediately. I literally am just getting an email about an event that is getting canceled. So I'm telling you, like, this is crazy. So there are a number of recommendations that have been made that you need to be aware of, okay? So these include, one, social distancing. Social distancing is something that the World Health Organization is recommending currently. That includes, is referring to the distancing or the maintenance of an arm's length or about 3 feet between people, specifically anyone who is coughing or who is sneezing. So this is something that we'll want to keep in mind, especially as we're thinking about the types of services that we're offering. And we're going to get into some of this a little bit further on in today's talk, okay? Also, there's obviously the recommendation for hand washing, regular hand washing with hot soapy water, and the use of alcohol-based products to sanitize the hands. We are working on the body outside of just the hands, so this is something for us to keep in mind, not only just in the terms of hand washing before, after clients, and so forth, and encouraging them to do the same, but or requiring, which we're going to talk about, but also as we just think about our proximity to our clients' bodies and so forth, having the tools available with us at those appointments, the spray bottle with alcohol, the wipes and the bag to put the trash and all of the things, you need to have them available. Also, the World Health Organization is obviously making recommendations against touching the eyes, touching the mouth, touching the nose to avoid any transfer of communicable illness, and the practice of good respiratory hygiene, which is essentially coughing or sneezing into the crook of your elbow, or I prefer, and this is something that I implement at the Henna boutique at all times, but definitely now it seems more theatrical. But having tissues available to allow for your for your guests to cough or sneeze into that tissue, or for you if you find, I'm someone who suffers from seasonal allergies, so now is not the time to have an allergy outbreak, right? But having those tissues available, even to just sneeze, and then toss that in the trash immediately, versus doing this thing. And then, of course, the final piece is that if you are experiencing any cold, flu symptoms, and specifically with fever or with difficulty breathing, that you seek medical care early. So those are the recommendations from the World Health Organization currently, and so we need to be aware of them, and we need, whether you agree with them or not, you need to be aware of them, because as a professional, when you're working in that professional context, these are things that you need to be implementing. So also for us, and I'm going to strongly encourage you to double down on client safety during this time. So what does that look like? There are many different ways that you can implement this in your business, and it's going to build trust with your audience. It's going to build trust with your clients. But the first, and this one is very simple, but it's something that you can start to implement very quickly, and that is making sure that you understand the distinction between cleanliness and sanitation, okay? So cleanliness is literally when something looks clean from you look at it, it looks clean, it looks organized, it looks like there's nothing there. Whereas sanitation, when something's been sanitized, it's actually those microorganisms have been cleaned from that surface. And so we need to be making sure that we're sanitizing our workstations in between clients. Now, if you're like me and you're working inside of like the Henna boutique, or you have like a standalone location, or if you're someone who maybe comes with a work pillow or things like this, then you are going to need to also be bringing with you then something to sanitize those surfaces. COVID-19, they are saying, can hang on, and we'll talk about this a little bit later as well, can hang on the fibers of some items. And so working on cloth perhaps might not be the best idea. So you may want to make a change and cover that the pillow that you work on, for example, or the workspace that you work on, using something like a wipeable placemat, or a wipeable surface of even a disposable surface, if you have like a what's the word I'm looking for here, like a saran wrap almost type to kind of lay over that, and then you can just remove it, throw it in the trash. So things like this are things that you'll want to certainly consider as you're doubling down on cleanliness and sanitation. You're certainly going to want to wipe down surfaces between clients. This is a no exception. While this should be something that we're doing at all times, right? This should be something we're doing at all times, but definitely now this is something that you cannot afford to miss. And then have the right materials on hand at all times as well. So I mentioned having rubbing alcohol available to you. I want to give you a quick tip, because I didn't realize that there are some people who didn't know this, or who don't know this. When you go to the stores and you're looking to find a rubbing alcohol to cleanse the skin, to disinfect, right? You're gonna find a bunch of different types. You'll find 70, you'll find 50%, 70%, 80%, 92%, 99%, right? All of these different percentages of alcohols all serve a different purpose. For our purposes, the best option for you to select is a 70% isopropyl alcohol, or IPA, right? So, oh goodness, literally more emails about coronavirus. I cannot. So we're looking for that 70%. Why is that? You might be tempted to grab that 99% thinking, oh, this is a stronger concentration of alcohol, so this is great. That's going to help my clients be, to be more safe. That's not the case, unfortunately. 99% or 90%, or those higher percentages of alcohol concentration, actually the alcohol evaporates off too quickly to give a proper cleansing. So what happens is the 70% IPA is going to allow for enough time before, because remember, alcohol is going to evaporate faster than water does, right? So that 70% IPA allows for enough evaporation time for there still to be time for the alcohol to properly break down the membrane of those microorganisms. And so 70% is what you're looking for when you're working with the public. So anytime you're going to cleanse the skin or cleanse your workspaces off, you're going to look for that 70%. 80% is okay, but 70% is like the gold standard in the nursing world and so forth. So that's what you're looking for to cleanse your client's skin. Also, keep hand sanitizer in your kit, especially if you're a mobile artist. You may not have always access to all the things. Have that available to yourself and to your clients, and have, again, tissues available for yourself and for your clients' use as you're working with them. Okay. So let's talk about, that's kind of just like our responsibility. I feel like our responsibility that's primary, and I wanted to really lay that down. But now I want to talk to you guys also about supporting your clients, okay? Because what's the the point, if you will, you've put all these things into place, but if you can't have a conversation with them, or if you can't get them to come in, right? You want them to still come in. You still want them to come and spend money with your business and still patronize your business throughout this time. So let's have some conversation even about that. I want to talk to you about how you can support your clients to allow them to feel comfortable to come and see you. I want to really, really just kind of take a second here and say, this is why it's so important for you to have that connection with your audience. You have to have trust with them. They have to know that you're thinking of them in the back end of your business practices, and you're not just there for the dollar, right? So how can you do this? First, let's start right now with education, right? It is so, so, so important for you to educate your clients about all the things related to your business, to your services, how you show up for them, how you intend to provide them with the best experience. But specifically as it relates to public health issues and outbreaks like these, you need to also express to them and educate them about how you are how you are addressing the crisis through your business as well, how that's going to affect them. So make public updates regarding how your business is responding. Let them know and understand. I get that there might be pressure around, well, what do I say? I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to say, what if I'm not right? People will give you grace so long as you're authentic and you're being open and you're being honest with them, right? So everyone understands. The conversation might change, right? I hope that you guys even have that understanding with me and me coming on saying, look, let's have this conversation. But we also have the understanding that in 24 hours or in 10 hours or in 2 hours or in 30 minutes, or even while we're here, my phone might buzz and we get a new piece of information that changes the way that we think about coronavirus and the way that we're going to do things, right? And I think that even for us, we have to be open to the fact and to the idea that our clients want to also give us that grace. And so don't feel like you have to say the right thing, and that right thing is like you signing your name in blood and that's that. Things might change, and the public, I think at this point, has come to understand that that's to be expected, specifically as it relates to COVID-19. So do make the public updates. I will tell you, in my own business, I made an update now. I want to say it's going on about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks old, where I reminded people about, hey, listen, this is happening. I get it. And this is these are the policies that I have around if you're not feeling well, and just reiterating that to them and letting them know that, hey, there are things that I do in my business to keep you safe. These are what those things are. And also, these are my policies surrounding if you're not feeling well. So let's have some expectation around what's going to happen if you show up sick to that appointment, right? So make those public updates. Let people know how you're responding. Communicate the importance of their safety to you as the business owner. Let them know, and this is something that I shared with my own audience as well. I shared with my own clients, is that, hey, I'm serving I'm serving those kids that come in for their birthday henna, and I'm serving those people who are getting their henna crowns done, after chemo or during chemo. I'm serving those people who are pregnant, who are expecting, and all of those people are quote unquote, immunocompromised. It's not just about them. While I care about them as well, I would ask, and I did ask in my post to my audience, I did ask them to also consider those other clients who I serve. So it's not just about them. While I care about them, their safety is important to me, their protection is important to me, but as is that of everyone else, and also those people who I have to go home to at the end of the day, right? So communicate those sorts of things with your audience and be open and be honest about them, and empower your clients to make decisions. Your clients are adults, right? They have the opportunity to make whatever decision they have. And just like us, we have, right, on a personal perspective, right, we get to choose how seriously we treat this thing or not. As professionals, we've already set the ground rules, right? But personally, we get to choose what we want to do. And they have that opportunity as well. So you can empower your clients to make informed decisions about whether or not they're going to come and visit your business by providing them with plenty of education about what to expect when they're there. So what can we do, right? What can we do to make that experience a little bit better for them? Let's start with providing options. I think now is an excellent time for us to consider what options we can give our clients to make them feel a little bit more comfortable and to meet them where they're at. Understand, people right now there's high anxiety all over. People are stressed. They are looking for, again, a way to de-stress during this stressful time. We can offer that service to them, and in a very small sort of environment, a very private, if you will, environment, an intimate environment. But it doesn't change the fact that they might have concerns regarding getting to you, or where that's going to happen, or what that's going to look like. So providing some additional options is worthwhile, okay? So there are a couple of different things that I kind of identified within my own business, and I definitely want to point out to you guys as things that you might consider that may not normally be your process, but maybe something worth considering, at least as we're weathering this storm, right? So the first is the obvious. Let's remind our clients about the location of their designs. Remind them that their designs don't have to be placed on their hands. People, we're encouraging hand washing, and aftercare would say, we don't want to get our henna wet. We don't want to saturate the henna with water. Well, it's kind of counterintuitive, right? So remind your clients that they can choose to get their designs placed elsewhere on the body. This seems so simple, but remember, people buy what they see. They buy what they see. And so as much as possible, be sure that you can share images of henna being placed elsewhere, even if that's you doing henna on yourself elsewhere, or you just making a post saying, hey, remember, this is something that we can try, or hey, I'd love to try doing henna on whatever, you know, on a shoulder, on a whatever, as we're going to the, you know, those warmer months. But share that, remind them, let them know that this is also an option. Another option, another alternative that you might consider, and this is something that coming from me, you guys have to know that this kind of, I have a lot of mixed feelings. I've shared with you before, I have a lot of mixed feelings about the promotion of Jagwa and Hengwa products in general. But now may be a great time for you to start to implement or offer or promote the use of Jagwa or Hengwa in your business, because it provides a different experience. Remember, henna requires a much more extensive aftercare, especially as it relates to avoiding water and the time that it needs to remain on the skin. So if you do have someone who wants to have their hands done, then it kind of places them in a little bit of a pickle, right? But if you can offer something like a Hengwa or a Jagwa that doesn't require so much time, remember, Jagwa and Hengwa they can be on the skin for 2 hours at minimum is what we recommend, right? And with that 2 hours, they can have a great stain. Okay, perhaps that is an option with that minimized paste on time. And those are also products that can be removed with soap and water, and that it doesn't impact the stain development so much as natural, pure henna would. So this is something also that you might consider. Alternatively, you might even look to offer something like white henna lace, right? As an option that maybe that's not something that you always have on your service menu, but going into these, you know, summer months, these peak months, and these months that are, inevitably going to be impacted by coronavirus, this might be something that you consider adding in. One, because it dries so quickly, and two, because it is waterproof and it won't hinder your clients from having that hand washing or doing that hand washing that we're also recommending them to do. Also, you might consider the location of your booking. And this is something that kind of goes beyond just what the service is, right? But where the service is happening. If you are a mobile artist, I'm going to break this down in two sections. If you're a mobile artist versus if you have a physical location, so that everyone can kind of have something that applies to them. And I hope that this will get your wheels turning, regardless of what situation you're in. If you're a mobile artist, many times those mobile artists, they're working out of a coffee shop, they're working out of a location similar like this. Understand that coffee shops and spaces like these may not feel safe to your clients, especially if those are very small, very contained spaces, if there's not a lot of like open seating available, or if it's a place that tends to be very crowded, or that has quite a lot of foot traffic during the time that you're there. So if you are a mobile artist, I want to encourage you to seek out locations that have outdoor seating so that you have the opportunity for that social distancing, and also so that you have that the added just airflow, right? This might be something, and if you choose to make, please understand as well, let me pause right here. If you choose to make these sorts of implementations in your business, if you choose to make any changes regarding how you're delivering your services, where you're delivering your services, etc., then I want you to not only identify what those changes are, but I want to encourage you to identify how you're going to communicate those changes to your audience and let them know that this is something that's being implemented because of the current circumstance, and perhaps that this is not something that's going to continue, beyond that. So this is something for you to also to think about as you consider how you're communicating with your audience and how you're communicating with your clients. Okay. So if you are a mobile artist, that might be something to consider. That might look like, again, fine, you may be at the same coffee shop, but choosing to sit outdoors, on the patio versus sitting inside. That might be if there's a public park that has also still, bathrooms and situation where you can still go and have the hand washing experience and such. You might choose to host meet your clients there. Just be mindful. It might be the library. Those places that don't have a ton of foot traffic, and that have quite a lot of space and allow for that social distancing. Those are the types of locations that you might look for and choose to have them as an alternative during this time. in doing that and finding a space like that, it's possible that my hope is that you would be able to also provide a little bit more comfort to your clients. One, that it's on your radar, that you're thinking of them so that they don't have to, right? You're thinking of these details so that they don't have to, but also so that you as a person, you can minimize your own exposure. And then on the other half is if you're someone who has a physical location. So that's if you have a studio, if you have a boutique, if you are working with a spa or a salon, that might look a little bit different. So if you're working in a physical location, one, I want to encourage you to schedule gaps in between your clients to give you plenty of time to be able to properly sanitize your workspace, right? So make sure that you're scheduling gaps. Those of us that are working at a physical location, many of us are, we do have booking systems that will allow for us to automatically build that time in between appointments. Make sure that you build a little bit of extra time so that you can make those adjustments. Be sure, of course, that you're wiping down all of those areas where your clients are touching, where they're sitting their belongings, where they're inhabiting and so forth, and spray disinfectant before they leave, after they leave and before the next client arrives. Consider also, if you have a physical location, consider limiting any out calls, just so that you do have more control over the environment that you're going to be working in, and the maintenance of those strict sanitization practices around the service that you're offering. So if you have, if you have the privilege of working in a single space, really lean into that, because it gives you more control over making sure that things are done properly, versus going out and working in another space. This reminds me, mobile artists. I apologize, I skipped this. Mobile artists, it may be, and this is going to be totally up to you, it may be worthwhile for you to consider offering in-home services or meeting clients in their space. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why that could be more helpful than having them come to you in just a bit. But it may be worthwhile to consider offering in-home services to clients during this time. Of course, you'll have the convenience factor and the comfort factor, and that's going to make them feel really great. But there are also some benefits in that for you as the artist, as it relates to exposing yourself to different things and bringing those things home to your family, which we're going to talk about in a bit. So this is something that you might want to consider as you're thinking, what things might I change during this time, okay? But again, regardless of what services you're offering and where you're offering them, the biggest thing that you can do right now is set clear expectations with your people, right? Let them know what to expect at the appointment. There should be some things that are non-negotiable. Hand washing should be a requirement prior to you offering services. That is for your protection, my loves. That is for you, okay? So hand washing required prior to services being rendered. Also cleansing the skin, again, with that rubbing alcohol. And I want to encourage you guys, if you're not doing this already, to make the switch from our standard size cones that we use, that we know that we can get, so many designs out of, switching to mini cones, okay? And I know it's a little bit inconvenient, but you know what? It's worth it. And the benefit of public health, I'd say it's worth it. So using single-use cones that are smaller size, to make mini cones, I use 4x6 inch dimensions. And they're very small. They come out very tiny, almost like a pin. But use single-use cones for each client. It lets your clients know, hey, this person is thinking about me. They're not using something from the last person, and God knows what the last person had or brought with them. You're letting them know this is a single-use cone. It's just for you. If you have henna left over, sorry, that is what it is. Make the cone small. I would prefer the waste of a little bit of henna paste versus you getting the phone call from the CDC saying, hey, someone tested positive for coronavirus and they came to see you. They're citing you as someone that they visited, and then you having to, then go out and contact all of those past clients or provide your past clients who came in around the same time, provide their information. Understand that is how it's going. So we don't want to be someone who is responsible for the transmission of these things, and so we want to minimize our risk of being in that space as much as possible, right? Also, regarding aftercare instruction, and this is something that I preach all the time, you guys. You have to set good expectations with our clients so that they know what they're walking into. Doubling back to our clients, we want to inform them and empower them with information so that they can make the decisions that are right for them. So provide aftercare information before their appointment. This is going to reduce the opportunity for any disappointments when you say, hey, yeah, by the way, now you can't wash your hands, right? You don't want to have that sort of experience. Let them know ahead of time, this is what it's going to look like. That way they can plan their day. They can plan for that appointment, and they can plan for what they're going to do after that appointment as well. This is super, super easy, right? This is something that doesn't require anything extra of you to do, but it's something that if you just take that little step, it tells your audience that, hey, I care about you and the experience that you're having, and I want you to be able to come into this appointment knowing what you're getting, what it's going to look like, and what the rest of the day is going to have to look like for you if this is the direction that we go, right? So empower your clients with that information. Also, we're going to want to set as many expectations as possible around any limitations that you're going to have around your services. So it may be that you start to implement limitations on the services that you offer, how you're offering them, where you're offering them, etc., during this time. And so what might that look like? This is something that you are going to have to assess and decide for yourself, and then communicate to your audience. So you might be considering limits on the sizes of events, right? The events that you're willing to service. Maybe you are no longer comfortable servicing the corporate event with 200 people. Maybe you're no longer comfortable servicing the birthday party with 50 people. Maybe you only want to work with groups of 20 or less, or 10 or less, or 5 or less. What does that look like for you? What are you comfortable with? Make a determination and then communicate that limitation to your clients. If you have group bookings, if the group bookings are something that you offer, again, if you're booking parties, or if you're booking even just smaller gatherings like groups of 3 or 4 or whatnot, what sort of expectations are you going to have around those? And as I mentioned earlier, the potential for you maybe getting a little bit flexible and changing the way that the where you service your clients. You might choose to create some limitations around the distance that you're willing to travel for those appointments. So maybe it's that, I'm willing to provide in-home services to you, but I'm not going to go beyond, 10-mile radius from this zip code, or I'm not willing to go beyond 15-mile radius from this zip code. And if I do, there's a travel fee, or if I do this, there's this thing. These are things for you to consider. So make a decision on what those limitations are going to be for your business, and then you'll want to communicate them and set those expectations with your audience as soon as possible. The sooner, the better, okay? Now, are we good? Right, let me just pause right here, because next I want to talk about advocating for our businesses. We're about halfway through. I want to make sure, are we all on the same, are we good so far? Can you give me a like, give me a heart, give me an amen in the comments. Let me know that you're with me. And we'll tuck around along. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about advocating for our business then, because this is something that is it's got me. This is where I get a little bit, because the business mind in me, the business strategist in me is dying over the things that I'm not seeing some of us do, and I want us to do better. Okay. So we have to advocate for our businesses, you guys. So the first place that I want to start with is with our policies, okay? I understand you might just be starting out. Or you might have not had experiences that have moved you to believe that having strict policies in place around your business is necessary, right? Sometimes those just develop over the course of experience. That happens. Let me tell you from the other side of the table, right? With a decade of experience behind me, you need to have policies around your business. There are 2 policies specifically that I want you guys to be paying attention to right now, given what's going on in our global community. The first is your wellness policy. You need to have a sick or wellness policy for your business, and that's all the time, right? But of course, now it's super important, but this should be all the time. The sick or wellness policy, and I choose to call it a wellness policy just because it sounds a little bit cleaner, but it's the same thing. You get to name it whatever you want, right? Your wellness policy needs to indicate to people that you require the rescheduling of their appointment if they are unwell. Now, I feel like I shouldn't have to point out why that's important, but I will, because sometimes the obvious ain't that obvious. If you get sick, who's paying you sick time as a business owner? Like, where are your sick days as a business owner? Because if you get sick, it's now your moral obligation to cancel those appointments that are coming up until you're well, right? So you don't want to allow your clients to come in and infect you or your space, because there are some very serious consequences of that. Now, that's just talking about cold and flu season, let alone something like coronavirus or COVID-19. So require rescheduling if your clients feel unwell. Now, you get to outline the terms around this, because I understand too, like that might look different from one artist to the next, how that might affect their business. If you've got kids and you've had to arrange for childcare, now this person's canceling 1 hour before, you may be out some money, right? So what does that look like? So you really have to have systems, operations in your business that are going to support the policies that you have. So questions you can ask yourself: how many reschedules am I going to allow before I require them to book a brand new appointment? Like, how many reschedules am I going to allow before I'm going to call this a forfeited appointment, a cancellation? Is there a time frame within which they need to reschedule that appointment? So you can reschedule, but it has to be done within 30 days or 90 days or 6 months. What does that look like? How much advance notice do you require? Is there any exchange of money happening now that a reschedule has happened? These are things for you to consider. If no services are rendered, right? What does that look like for the client and for you? Have those things outlined in your business, determine what that's going to look like, and then begin to communicate that through by way of your wellness policy. Now, I'll tell you, because I know that people are going to ask, Chelsea, what's your policy? My policy is very simple. I do not service people who arrive at the boutique who are ill. If my clients are feeling unwell at any point in time, I ask for them to reschedule. I have a policy in my own business that you can reschedule your appointment one time, that's it. And if they need to reschedule a second time, then at that point they have to book a new appointment. I will also say that yesterday I had my first person reschedule. Obviously, also yesterday. Over the past 48 hours is when we started to get news about the local instances of the positive COVID testing. And so yesterday I had my first person who canceled. She didn't cancel, she rescheduled her session. She actually had rescheduled before due to some different scheduling things that had nothing to do with coronavirus. And so technically, she would have had to have purchased a new session. And when she asked me, she said, Chelsea, I'm not feeling well. Am I able to reschedule, or do you want me to book another session? And given the circumstances of the situation, I told her, look, officially the policy is this, and I knew that she knew it based on how she posed the question to me. Officially the policy is this, however, given the circumstance, and I gave her the opportunity to reschedule one more time. So even in my business, I'm adding in some flexibility. Will that be the case all the time? No, I have policies for a reason. But right now, I want to be sensitive to what's going on in our global community and to my local community, right? And so this is something that I'm willing to do. I'm willing to be flexible in order to better serve my clients. And so I want to encourage you guys to think about that. Also, in terms of just like the back end of my own wellness policy, if someone does arrive at an appointment and they are exhibiting any signs of illness, if they're exhibiting signs of like cold, flu, whatever, I will cancel their appointment. Like, I will not render them services, and they do not get a refund. And that's published in my policies on my website. They receive that information when they book an appointment with me. That's part of the confirmation email that they get that points them back to those policies. Like, all of that is provided to them upfront. So the expectations are very clear. And you guys also have to consider what those expectations will be for you and for your business and how you're going to communicate them. So, and I want to strongly encourage you to make it clear for your clients that you will not render services to them if they come in with symptoms, if they're exhibiting symptoms of cold or flu. But of course, this is something that, you guys are You get to make the decision. I'm telling you, that's what I do. That's what I always do. And I would encourage you to do the same. The other policy that's super important for you to have kind of on your mind and definitely take some time to review is your refund policy. Okay. So what happens if you get ill and you have to cancel? Will you be refunding? Will you be offering a reschedule instead? If you are refunding, what's the time limit? Are you going to be refunding them within 3 days, within 5 business days, within 14 days? What does that look like? And I'm saying this based on the assumption that you have collected payment from them in advance of your services. You guys already know, I teach, I preach, get paid before you offer the service. The thing about that is you have to be mindful of cash flow. So if you've got that, that payment in from that service that's been booked, but you have not yet rendered that service, and for whatever reason you have to cancel, be it from COVID-19 or something else, you need to have policies around that in your refunds. In your refund policy. So I want to encourage you to think about what that's going to look like for your business and start and map it out so that it can be clearly communicated to your clients. And then, of course, if it's coming from the client side, then you also have the added component of do cancellations need to take place by 24 hours or by 3 days in advance or by 14 days in advance. Let's say, for example, they've booked a large event, like, it is that party or that hourly service, right? Is this something where you have terms where, okay, 50%, if we cancel, I'll refund 50% if you let me know by this amount of time, or 25% by that amount of time, or if you cancel within 48 hours, it's just, the whole balance has been forfeited. I'm maintaining. Okay, I don't know what the heck. I'll tell you what, that was super weird. Facebook either had a glitch or closed it out, or I don't know, but we're going to continue with a part 2. Let me just share this feed over into the Hennapreneur community because, yeah, oh wow, that was strange. All of a sudden it just closed down the whole thing. I feel like I've got my whole tinfoil hat on right now. But you know what? I'm like, not today, Facebook, not today. I am here to help my people, and we are going to do it. So, okay. All right, we made it. So, so you get to decide. You get to decide what the terms of your refund policy are going to be. But certainly, whatever those things are, make sure that anytime you're creating policies for your business, ask yourself, but what if? What if this were to happen? What if that were to happen? And you want to go through those what if scenarios because they're going to allow you to create more waterproof policies that when those things happen, because they will, it's inevitable. When those things do happen, you have something mapped out, okay? Now, the second thing that I want you guys to look at outside of your policies is your contracts. This is something that, listen, we're going to talk about contracts in 2 different ways today. We're going to talk about contracts in the terms of the ones that you're sending out to people, but also those contracts that you are signing as a henna artist, okay? So first, I want to talk to you guys about the contracts that you're sending out to people, right? So when you're booking a wedding, when you're booking a bride, when you're booking a prenatal session, when you're doing any sort of hourly work, anytime that you would be sending a contract out, there is a clause. There is a clause that you should be using. It should exist in your contract. It's called force majeure, okay? Force majeure. And so often it doesn't exist. So often it's just left silent. It doesn't appear in the contract at all. And you have to be the savvy business owner to make sure that your contract includes this. So what is that? What is that? Force majeure is an act of God clause, right? An act of God. So that clause essentially relieves all parties involved of their agreed upon commitments to one another within that contract in the event of a catastrophe, in the event of something happening that's beyond your control, beyond their control. There was nothing anyone could have done differently to make it better or make it change or all of that. It takes away that liability. It takes away that commitment. So in the event that you experience something like this, like coronavirus, and suddenly we have, a mass contamination. Your city is now experiencing, issues like we're experiencing now in my area, or in the Pacific Northwest, or wherever. This is where having that clause in your contract is super important, because it may be that you no longer are able to service that, that 5-hour contract that you signed, and they've paid. So now what? or it's very close to that, it doesn't give them time. So now what? Or that person experiences an issue. Let's say that client, God forbid, that client is the person who comes in contact with the virus and becomes ill, and now no longer are we having this party. Okay, so now what? What does that look like? Having the force majeure clause in your contract is so empowering in instances like these, because you can use it to protect yourself, to protect your business, and so forth. Now, in the event that you're going to call upon that clause in your contract, well, I mean, what does that mean exactly? It's going to be up to you, right? It's going to be up to you. It's going to be up to what are the terms of that clause. How did you write it? So maybe that includes having a refund. Maybe that's a partial refund. Maybe you have any, you can specify what terms surround any liabilities. Like, I'm no longer liable for anything related to that event if this is something that I'm enacting, if this is something that I'm calling upon. So this is something for you to have in mind. I want you guys to know, if you're not familiar already, like if you don't have a contract, you need a contract. And if you're like, I'm not comfortable writing a contract, I've got you covered. There are ready to use contracts, which are fully customizable if you wanted to make a change based on what things you have in your own business. Those are available in the Hennapreneur shop, like at all times. You're welcome to go. You can purchase them. They're inexpensive. You can empower yourself, and these include a force majeure clause. So if you don't have a contract, I want you to please understand now is a prime example of why you need one, and why you need one that covers your bases properly. Okay. The other part of contracts that I want to talk to you guys about is those contracts that we're signing as vendors, right? Because we do have now this widespread happening of event cancellations and so forth, and those are businesses, right? We have a contract with another business that we are going to arrive and we're going to serve our mutual guests, the attendees. Many times you'll find that those contracts don't have anything regarding to force majeure, or they don't have an act of God clause. If you've already signed that contract, and I'm in this boat, right? I'm in this boat too. Many of these contracts, they may not have them. If that doesn't exist in the contract, or if it exists in the contract but it's like obscure, it doesn't have anything real concrete about what that means to you and to them, then I want to encourage you guys to look for the default rule for force majeure in your state. I asked an attorney yesterday who I had some conversation with her about force majeure specifically. And I was asking her, I know that my people are going to want to know, Chelsea, where do I find that default rule for my state? And what she said is, the best bet is to just Google force majeure and your state or your province. And many times you'll find resources that come available with that. So look for the default rule of what force majeure is. If there is something that exists in the contract versus something that just exists at this, like the default rule for the state or for the province, then typically the contract trumps the default rule. But there's kind of a loophole if the terms of the contract are vague. So you may find that you are able to advocate for your business and perhaps getting your money back, or perhaps I don't know. I can't even say like this is what that might look like. The best bet would likely be get your money back for your table or for your booth, but that might look different depending on what situation you're in. So you may find that you have a little bit more opportunity to advocate for your business by looking into that force majeure clause, if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, looking to see what regulations or what default rule exists in your state. Okay, and then in many cases, I do want to. The bad news is, in many cases, there's terminology, there's language used in the contracts that we signed as vendors for events that make those booth fees non-refundable, right? Depending on the terms of the agreement, depending on the default rule, you may have the opportunity for some leverage around that. It just depends. But I also don't want to like give you guys like the raw, yes, you can go get your money back, because odds are very high that sadly that's not the case. Many of us are going to be out booth fees this season. That's just the reality of what it is. So definitely do your research so that you can advocate for your business, but understand that you might not find the answer that you're looking for. And if that's the case, I mean, it is what it is, right? I also want to talk to you guys about advocating for your business in for lost revenue, right? So while I can't speak to this worldwide, and I know that we have people here who are tuning in from Australia and from the UK and from Canada, I had just enough time to gather as much as I could to help you guys for today. So I'll let you know, in the US, on last Thursday, Thursday, my gosh, my whole week is running together. It doesn't matter. The U.S. government, the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA did announce that they have small business loans that they will make available to those small businesses who will qualify because they are incurring financial burden due to coronavirus. There are and there's another and they cannot apply for whatever reason. They can't apply for credit or get credit elsewhere. Then the SBA will consider them, and they may be they may be found to be eligible for loans up to $2 million. Now, I don't know a henna artist who needs $2 million on a loan, but you get the point. So you may look out, make contact with your local SBA office if you're finding that, hey, like this really has impacted me. Again, I totally understand. I've got now already thousands of dollars that just kind of went up in smoke yesterday, and that's just, it is what it is. It's one of the risks of doing business. But if you're like me and you're experiencing things like this, and you find that you need that support in your business, know that you might reach out to your local SBA office and see what those steps are. In the workbook that I have for you guys, I actually have a link for you that will give you some pretty detailed information also about what those qualifying pieces are. Understand also that there are some states, there are some cities, there are some counties, at least here in the US, that are beginning to develop resources for small businesses that are impacted. So keep an eye on that. Make sure that, you can put in a phone call to your local county office, or keep researching what's going on at the local level, because you may find that there are resources available for your business that way. I do, though, here is where I have to highlight something. This situation right here, this lets you know the importance of having a registered business. So if your business isn't registered, obviously these things are likely not going to apply. These aren't going to be resources that you're going to be able to take advantage of. But now moving forward, you might consider, is this worth, taking my business a little bit more seriously and making that registration? Okay, so we've gone through that. There are two more points that I want to talk to you guys about. One is taking care of yourself, and the next is taking care of your brand. How are we doing? Are we all right? If so, give me a like, give me a heart, let me know, or give me an amen in the comments, because you know that I love my amens in the comments. But let me know that you're with me, and then we'll dive into this last point, and then we'll wrap up. Let's see. And then I can't even say we'll do Q&A. I saw quite a few questions came in. Okay. All right, so let's talk about taking care of the things. We need you to take care of you, and we need you to take care of your brand. Both of those things are important, right? You, as the conduit of your business, you must take care of yourself. So I want to talk to you about, remember I said we're going to come back to why it's important maybe for you to consider even offering services at people's homes versus having them come to yours. Let's talk about that. So the first thing that I want to point out is taking care of yourself when you're working with the public, right? In the midst of a global crisis, the best thing that I could think of was, what do the nurses do? Like, what do the doctors do? What do they do when they go and they work in an environment that by nature is volatile, by nature exposes them to different things? What are their standard practices? And I loved what I saw, and I wanted to talk to you guys about them. I want to encourage you guys to implement them. Some of these are things that I didn't even realize I was living a nurse's life. I instinctually do them. But then there are also things that were new to me. So I wanted to be sure to share them with you guys as well. So the first thing is, after you're working with the public, remember to clean yourself off when you get home. Like, you never want to bring home anything from outside. So of course, when you arrive home, the first thing that you're going to do, wash your hands with hot tub water or shower. This is something after I work a festival, after I work private appointments, even at the boutique. I'm not saying like private appointments mobile. While I did this when I was a mobile artist as well, even at the boutique, once I come home, I go straight to the bathroom, like, I'm showering, I'm done. And then even if you're going and you're working in other spaces, if you're mobile and so forth, make sure that once you come back, and you enter your home, the first thing that you're doing is washing your body, cleansing yourself of anything that might be coming on with you, right? Coming home with you. Remember that germs can spread. I feel like this is so simple, but it's like we don't even think about it sometimes. I know sometimes I don't think about it, right? Germs can spread even on those things that we don't consider. So for now, if this isn't something that you do, you might consider having work clothes. I do. So I know recently someone asked, is there a what do people wear when you go to work? Like, what do you wear when you go to a gig? What do you wear when you whatever? And excuse me, yes, ma'am. Yes, you may. And I, in my own business, when I go to work at an event, be it a private event at the boutique or at a festival, I wear an abaya. If you don't know what abaya is, it's like the long black dress that Muslim women wear. So I have those. I have 2 of them that I wear specifically to go work with henna, and they just button down. And when I come home, I take it off and I put it directly into the washing machine, because I don't want to bring home the things that are out there. I don't want to bring home the cold or the flu, and I definitely don't want to bring home COVID-19, right? So this is one of the things that I do. And I want to encourage you, like, if you don't have a work uniform, maybe, I mean, for me, it's easy in that I get to wear whatever, and then I just cover up, and then I go in and I do my work, and I come out and I take it off. But for you, you might have like whatever that's going to look like for your business. So if you have a branded t-shirt, or if you want to just wear your brand's colors, or if you want to go in with, pants and a black top, or like whatever that is for you, you might consider having work clothes that then, when you get back home, you take those things off, put them directly into the wash, and then, go shower before you start to engage again with your family. I know this is my primary, you guys know, I have my 3 kids at home, I homeschool. The last thing that I want is to expose my home to any of that, to any of this ick, to any of the, the virus, any of it, because it inevitably, one of us gets it, the house is down, right? So I know that you guys feel the same way about your own families. I know that you feel the same way about your own loved ones. So this is something that, while it might seem extreme, these are also things, I was surprised to find, these are also things that nurses and doctors do for the same reason. So implement that. We're out in the public, we're working in close proximity with people. We are, by nature, a little bit more at risk, if you will, to come in contact with the virus. So having work clothes might give you a little bit more of more security, if you will, and it reduces the opportunity for that cross-contamination. Now, another thing is your shoes, and this is something that people don't think about. And I'll tell you, this is one that I don't like. Obviously, in my home, we enter our home, we take off our shoes immediately, whatever. But even having, like, if you're going to be working at festivals, or if you're going to be going into a client's home, having your shoes, like, remove your shoes when you get to your car, maybe have some flip-flops or something else inside of your car for you to wear back into your home. But don't take those shoes that you are wearing out to your gigs. Don't bring them with you. Don't bring them with you back into your home. Take them off in the car, put them into a plastic bag, and when you're ready to go out to your next appointment, then you put those shoes on. That's something that you can do very easily, and then just regularly disinfect those shoes. One of the things that one of the tips that I got from a nurse was also to remember to regularly disinfect the floorboard of your car, the seat, and the steering wheel even, because you're coming and going from these events, you're coming and going from meeting with clients, and while you may otherwise have done great, those are still like high traffic areas, of course, and so you can have, you may experience that those areas may become contaminated. Of course, there's also just the general self-care, right? Get enough sleep, eat well, take your vitamins, try to avoid stress, like, take care of you. I talk about this regularly with my students. This is important. You have to take care of yourself. You are the conduit of your business. You are important. So make sure that you're taking care of you. And we have to take care of our brand. So this is where you guys are going to get to see me preach. Are you ready? If you're ready, give me a heart, because here we go. Listen, I need you guys to understand, and this is hard. It's not hard. It's easy. It's a mindset thing. Honestly, it's a mindset thing. I need you guys to really get with the understanding, get with the idea, and just remind yourselves that you are in business for the long game, right? Not just for the next few months. Your business is likely not going to totally fall and like be swallowed by the earth because things are going wrong with coronavirus right now. Like, that's likely not what's going to happen. You are likely not going to be bankrupt because of this. Is it incredibly unfortunate? Absolutely. Is it like, do our hearts go out to those that are impacted? Absolutely. Like, yes, this is a horrible situation, but it doesn't have to end you, and it doesn't have to end your business. Okay. So while business may not feel like business as usual, and I totally relate to that, it might not feel like business as usual, you have to treat your business as much as usual as possible right now. I want to encourage you guys to start to get creative. Get creative. Look, we are artists. You are artists. You have skills. You can do the things. You're not limited only to body art. So get creative about what other ways you might serve your audience. Get creative about what other ways you might serve your market. Maybe that's creating handmade gifts. Maybe that's doing art commissions. Maybe that's painting the murals for people. Or maybe that's something as simple as creating henna kits or selling your henna cones for your clients to try those things at home. You have the opportunity to expand and serve your audience in different and new ways. And this is where I kind of go, you guys, like, there's so much opportunity out there for you. We don't have to limit ourselves just to sitting with a client in order to make the buck, you know? So how can you, and consider, honestly, what things would you be comfortable doing? What things could you jump into? What other services could you offer? In what ways can you serve your audience to still provide them with the education and with the entertainment and that value that they're looking for in a stressful situation? How can you de-stress them in a different way if it comes to it and you find that services just aren't selling like they used to, right? We have to empower ourselves in this way as well. So we have to take care of our business in this way. Think about those things. Don't stop. This is the next point. Don't stop marketing your services. Please. Please. I know that it's scary. I get it. I know. Like just us sitting here and me getting the emails about event canceled. I get it. I know that anxiety is up there. I know that you're wondering what next. And I don't have the answer for you. I really don't. We are weathering the storm together, right? But what I do know is that wherever your business sits right now, that's going to be your launch pad for when things come back. So don't stop showing up. Don't stop marketing your services. Don't stop doing the hard work in your business, even though it looks like, or it may look like, things aren't going to plan. Don't stop. Look, can you create content? Create content showing your work. Go on live. Make videos. Take photos of your work, even if it's on a practice board. You guys, create content that you can share with your audience, that can still entertain them, that can still remind them that your business exists and that you're open for business and that you're willing to serve them. And if they're not comfortable coming to you right now, you are still there and you're still willing to serve them. And when they are comfortable, they can come by, right? Do that. Create and continue to engage with your ideal client. Again, providing them with the entertainment, providing them with the education, providing them value that makes them want to tune in to what you're doing on social media. I get it. Will that put the dollar in your pocket? Perhaps not immediately. I know that. I understand that. But we are in it for the long game, guys. That is running a business. It's never just overnight like this. That's not how it works. What do they say? The Warren Buffett said, someone is sitting under the shade of a tree today because someone else planted the seed years ago. That's what this is. So you cannot allow yourself to become discouraged by the situation that's impacting and affecting our industry. You still have to show up for your business as if it were business as usual. Okay. And then maybe that's just spending time to develop your skills. Like now if you have that extra time, right? If you have that extra time, spend some time learning a new skill set, developing your work. Like you can still continue to grow and you can still continue to see success and to move to the next level in your business, even despite what's going on right here and right now. All right. So I really want to push you guys outside of the sadness and the anxiety. Warranted, but they don't have to stop you. Okay. They don't have to stop you. And I want to encourage you this. Take what lessons you can from this situation. Because let me tell you, this situation, as sad as it is, and it is sad, it is very sad. The whole thing is just a mess, right? However, this situation is giving us the opportunity to observe the cracks in our society, the cracks in the way that things work, the cracks that exist in our system, right? And we should be doing that for our business as well. We should be examining. Now is the time for you to examine. Look, what do you need to assess? Like, do you need to assess your dependence on a certain service type? Like, if you've been depending on festivals to be your primary income for the year, and there are artists like that, maybe now is a great time to do some reconsidering. If you are, ask yourself, can you expand your services beyond what you're currently offering? Are there blind spots, right? Are there blind spots in your business that this experience is shedding light on? And if so, then is it unfortunate? Of course it's unfortunate, but now is the time that it's in your face. It's in your face, so do something about it. Let's take this time to address those things. Let's take that time to better ourselves and better our brands and better our businesses and the experiences that we can offer to our clients. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like saying this. Some people, like right now, I see that you guys are like, you're appreciating what I'm saying. And I feel like there are going to be people who watch the replay and are like, this chick, what is she even saying? That is so tone deaf. And I promise you, this is how businesses are made. Like, this is how businesses are made. You have to do the work even when things don't go to plan. So I want to encourage you to also do that. Take the lessons that you can from the situation and look to see what adjustments you can make in your business. And that's just tough love. And that's also me saying, hey, like, this is an opportunity. This is a wake-up call for many of us. And I say that with no judgment. I say that as someone who also is being impacted by this. And remember, you guys, once this does pass, because it will, right? Like, we got through all the things. We've been through national crises. We've been through, terror things, like we've been through the things. The sun is going to come up tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day, and God willing, the next day as well, right? Keep that in mind. Once this does pass, your business will bounce back. But again, it's only going to start where you left it during this time. So if now is the time that you're throwing in the towel and you're like, oh, I just want the fetal, I'm just going to curl up in the fetal position with my toilet paper and my water and hope that things go well and I'll see you guys in August. Please know that in August, you're going to have a real hard time marketing your business. August is going to be tough. And will be September and October and so forth, because you're going to have to make up that time. You're going to have to make up for that work that you skipped. Don't be that person. Don't be that person, okay? Take advantage of any gained time right now, and use it in pursuit of knowledge. Use it in pursuit of better preparing yourself, better developing your skills, better building the infrastructure of your business, better doing the things, okay? All right. So that is where I'm gonna leave you guys out. This is what I'm going to say too. I'm gonna say this because, and I know, look, I know that there's gonna be people who are like, Chelsea, you just couldn't help yourself. It's just, no, listen, this is what I'm gonna say. And this is not for everybody, but it is for the select few. First of all, I want you guys to know, if you're concerned about growing your business, if you're concerned about growing your skill set, if you're concerned about how you're going to learn, if you're worried about how I'm going to get to this thing, do that thing, my conference was canceled, I can't go, the workshop is canceled, I can't do this, Hennapreneur is all online. So I'm going to just say that. It's available. There's an extensive number of courses that are available for you from anywhere in the world, across multiple devices. They're there and they're available to help you to build what you're trying to build. So this is not me saying this is just the courses. I'm talking about free content too, okay? As always, there's a ton of free content that's available to you. You are welcome. You are encouraged to binge that content over the next upcoming weeks, months, whatever, however long. Always, you're welcome to it. That's what I created for, okay? So there's the blog, there's the podcast, there's the live sessions. There's so many live Q&A sessions. Like, Inside of the Hennapreneur community also, I'm going to be posting, once we close out this feed, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some templates that you can download. You can save them right off of Facebook, and you can post them on your Instagram, your Facebook, your Insta stories, telling people about how you are showing up for that, how you're going to keep them safe, and a wellness policy. I've already made the templates for you. Literally, we will get off of here. I'm going to put them in the Facebook group so that you can take them and you can use them and you can share them. Free. Like, I want you guys to feel empowered. I want you guys to have the things that you need. You don't have to worry about, do I have the right words? I've written them for you. And I made a second set of templates also without the words, in case you're like, well, I want to write it myself. Cool, I got you too. It will be inside of the Facebook group because I want you guys to have what you need, all right? So all of those things exist. If you're like, Chelsea, I hear what you're saying. I'm totally taking advantage of the free things and I want to go deeper too. There's two things that I want to say to you. One, between now and the end of the month, because everything is through the end of the month. All the kids are home through the end of the month. Like, everything is happening through the end of the month. So I'm just going to say, I just picked the end of the month because that's what the whole world is doing right now, because we're all in quarantine. So in between now and the end of the month, because I've got a sixth sense of humor, COVID-19 didn't, if you use the code Town Hall on any of the Hennapreneur courses, on any of the Hennapreneur resources, the contracts, any of that, you get 19% off because COVID-19. So if you're looking to start working with Henna and you're like, I should be working on my pace preparation this time. Like, I need to get my pace right. Now's a great time to do it. Mixology and basic design is where you want to be. If you need to build your design technique skills, there is a year's worth of content. I kid you not. It's a year's worth of content. It's 14 courses total, 12 courses plus an additional 2 that are bonuses in the design lab. The design lab, you need to, if you're like, I should be working on my design skills, I need help with that, the design lab's where you want to be. Jump in. You've got time. Do it. Do the work. And because I know that people are going to ask this question, and this is totally unprecedented. I made this decision literally within the past 4 hours. You guys already know that the doors to the accelerator closed. We started on March 2nd. I am, because I recognize that there are people who are like, I missed it. I didn't get in for whatever reason. I really wish I could have. I really wish, like, if you're like, Chelsea, I know that there are issues in my business, in the infrastructure of my business. I want some help. I need some help. It's time for me to double down. I am going to, the doors to the accelerator, you can register for the accelerator only within the next 5 days. That's it, okay? Within the next 5 days. 5 days? Let me look at through Friday, so it's 7 days, excuse me. You have until next Friday. If you would like to join the accelerator, I've opened the doors. It's now available. If you don't know what the accelerator is, it's like an MBA for Henna artists. We go through business foundations, branding, content marketing, operational strategy, the whole nine, right? So if you're realizing that, yeah, I need to make some changes in my business, and you want to spend the next 100 days with me making those changes, implementing them, and gearing up so that you are ready to go for real when all this mess passes, this is a one-time opportunity. And the Town Hall code also works for that. It's for everything. So you can use Town Hall on all the things, Hennapreneur. Let's do Q&A, yeah? Okay, let me pull up. It's gonna be easier for me to find them on my phone. Let's see. Now, the worst part is, as soon as I open this up, I'm gonna hear myself. Let me turn the volume down. I hate hearing myself. You guys should know, like, every time I do a video, then like I have to go back in and edit it and whatnot. And it makes me crazy. I don't like to hear myself on video. Like, this is one of the things that I've had to get over. And I know it sounds like a really like vain challenge, but I've had to really get over hearing myself on video. Okay, so let's see. Let's go through these comments. All comments. Okay. Can we talk about temporary business closures? Because I work out of a hospital. Also, my anxiety went from 6 to like 61 between last night and this morning because I heard that schools are closing in my area. Yeah, so you know what? If you feel the need to have a temporary business closure, then do it. Like, I'm not going to be the person to say don't do it. I'm not going to be that person. I think that this is the thing. And this is why I was cautious. This is why I say I was very cautious on what to say and when to say it as it relates to coronavirus and in general. I think that it's important when you have a platform, you have to use it responsibly, right? My thoughts around leadership are that I don't ever want to make you dependent on my opinion. I'm here to feed you I'm here to give you the opinion that I have, share the insights that I have, tell you what I would do if you asked for it, and then that's up to you. I believe in you having autonomy in your business. I believe that it's important that you have ownership of your business. I believe that it's important that you make the decisions that you feel are in alignment with yourself, with your business, with your brand. Like, I believe that 100%. I'm not here to make 600 million, mini Chelseas running around. That's not what I'm here for. I want to pull out the best of you. So as it relates to temporary business closing, if you feel in your gut that closing your business temporarily is important, or that it's appropriate, be it because of what's going on in your local community, or because of maybe you have someone at home who's immunocompromised and you're like, I'm sorry, it's just not worth the risk. Whatever that is for you, you get to make that decision. And I would support you 100%, whatever that answer is. So I know that that's like, oh, okay, but what does that mean? You didn't really give me an answer. I know. This is for you to decide. And I want you to know that I would support you either way. The only thing that I will say is whatever decisions you make in your business, you have to communicate them clearly to your people. You have to communicate them clearly to your audience. I have, you guys, if you've been around with Hennapreneur long enough, you know that I have in the past, I've shared about how I have had to do temporary business closings. At one point, my family went through something very traumatic, and I closed my business for 3 months. And it was non-negotiable. That was something that I was willing to do, needed to do for my own health, my own sanity, and that of my family. I needed to be there. I didn't need the distraction of my business, frankly. And if you're going to choose to do that, just make sure that you're communicating well. So in my case, when that happened, I made an update on social media. I sent an email out to my clients, to my client list. And then I let them know also when I was ready to come back, I did the same. I came back on social media. I shared the update. I sent an email and said, hey, I'm back and I'm ready to go. I so appreciate your patience with me. If in the meantime, in the interim, you can still post to social, you can still show up, you can still certainly create content for your business. Like, you can do that. And just saying that your books are temporarily closed, that can be a thing. Right? It doesn't mean that you just turn it all off and you're like, I don't care about my business anymore. It doesn't exist. It just depends on you and where you're at. So whatever that decision would look like for you and whatever that execution would look like for you, I would just ask that you really think about what you're going to do and how you're going to communicate it to your audience. The best thing you can do is set expectations with them. Let's see. Shelly said, Mom said perhaps it's a good time to focus on back office and portfolio work. Exactly. You guys, like, now is the time. Work on the back office of your business. Work on your branding. Work on your marketing strategy. Work on building your muscle memory and your skills. Aisha asked, does the hand stain if we apply sanitizer before henna? Yes, the hand will still stain if you apply sanitizer before. Can you use any sanitizer? You could use many sanitizers, but you're looking for one with a 70% concentration if you're using alcohol. You'll find that a lot of the sanitizers now, they're like 60%. You might get lucky with something that's a little bit more, but in general, you're looking for something with a higher, with the 70% concentration of IPA, so isopropyl alcohol. So what I do actually, I have in the boutique, I have sanitizers that are available, like they're always available, that people can use, but it doesn't change the fact that even after they wash their hands, and even after if they choose to use the sanitizer, it doesn't matter. When I start working with my clients, I always cleanse their hands with the alcohol first. And there's another part to that too. Not only does that benefit them in the terms of reducing exposure of, the transfer of communicable illness, but also that's going to remove any oils or creams that the soap didn't remove. And so actually you get a better stain. What you'll find is that their hands may be a little bit dry and they might have that discomfort, but better than the discomfort of COVID-19. Just saying. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Let's see. Here we go. Also, oh gosh, this one's going to be weird for me with the questions. Let's see. Karen added about the work clothes. Yeah, don't sit down at home with outside clothes that you wore. Exactly. This is something that I believe in and I practice. I'm like, Nope, those are outside clothes. My kids, if you ask my kids, they have outside clothes. Like I'll tell them, put your outside clothes on, or now we're back at home, it's time to put your inside clothes on, your home clothes. And that's a real thing. But it's because of that, not wanting to have that cross-contamination. You don't want to bring that stuff home to your family, right? That's my primary concern in all of this, I think, more than anything else. And I think that's the case for many of us. Force majeure. Someone asked, Karen asked, force majeure clause. How do you spell that? It is force majeure. It's force majeure. I'll put that in the comments for you. That is what you're going to look for. I do not have a business account with my bank, but I can prove that I have a business as I use one bank account. Will you get the loan if you don't have a business account? Karen, I know that you're in the UK, so I'm not sure what that's going to look like for you. Here in the US, the SBA works with registered small businesses, so you would have to have a registered business. I don't know if they have anything. I don't know what's going on with the UK and if what systems they're developing or what resources they're developing for small businesses. But I would definitely encourage you to give it a look, give it a Google, and see what you can find. Oh, you said your business is registered since 2014. You're perfect then. So in that case, just reach out and see what you can see what they have available. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. If you guys have any questions about what I've shared today, if you have thoughts, you have concerns, if you have comments you want to add, you're welcome. You're welcome to email me at anytime, hello@hennapreneur.com. And again, I have a workbook that if you'd like to come back and revisit this and just kind of work through the things, I'll be sending that out. I'll place it for you guys. I'll put the link in the comments so that you guys can download it. And once we close out this feed, I'll go over into the group and share those templates with you that you can start to use and share on social to let your audiences know that you care about their health and safety and that you're still open for business and that you are like all the things. So with that, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for joining me for the town hall, and I'll see you guys later. All right, bye.